Today on Play to Win, 680's Chris Dimino joins us. Also, it's the weekend for Alabama, Auburn, Georgia Tech, and Georgia. Plus injuries, fantasy football, and Jeffrey the Ed Schechter picks against the spread. This is the fastest 30 minutes in football.
Play to Win is being brought to you by Toyota, the Georgia Lottery, and John Foy and Associates. Welcome to Play to Win with former Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith, Fantasy Football League previews with Adam Brown, game analysis with Nikki Williams, Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Ed Schechter, medical and injury update with Dr. Andrew Lalage, and your host, Atlanta sports veteran Bob Neal. Today's SEC report is being brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome to the show, and Chuck Smith is off teaching defensive lineman pass rushes up in Cincinnati this week, but we went to the man, Chris Dimino from 680 The Fan. Thanks for coming over.
No problem, Bob. Looking forward to it.
All right, he's going to fill the role of Chuck Smith and give you some advice on how to rush the passer, and he's got advice on everything. And, of course, Nikki and Jeffrey. And as usual, we get started with the slate of games in the SEC on our SEC report. And, of course, I've already mentioned Georgia plays at Georgia Tech, Louisville at Kentucky, Clemson, South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn. That game, of course, a big one we'll talk about later. Vanderbilt at Tennessee. Tennessee's favored by a ton in that game. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Florida, and Texas A&M, LSU. Those are the teams from the SEC involved in games. But let's go back to the Iron Bowl, Chris Dimino. Alabama's favored. Most people think they're the best team in the country. Does Auburn have any kind of chance in this game?
Yeah, because it is a rivalry game. And how do I know it's a great rivalry game? It's as simple as this. Families divided, and my win doesn't mean as much as the loss to you. That's how I judge whether a rivalry game is real. It's whatever happens in the end of that day for the next 365 and sometimes longer, especially when you knock somebody out of the possibility of a national title, and that could happen this year. You will be talking about that game. Win or lose, but I'm telling you, my win, if it's not as bad as your loss, then I know I've got a real game. And I do think they have a shot in this game.
I lived next door to a guy from Alabama back in the 70s. It might have been before that when it was punt, Bama, punt. Remember they blocked the punt to win? All I heard about was punt, Bama, punt, and I still remember it. Jeffrey, how do you see the game?
Alabama's defense is great. Auburn's coming on. They're playing better, but I don't think they're going to score much against Alabama. Give them 13.5 with the Crimson Tide.
All right, now we talked about the Iron Bowl and now the Egg Bowl, which is kind of the opposite of iron if you think about it, the fragile egg, etc. And Ole Miss and Mississippi State fans won't like that. What do you think about the Mississippi State hosting Ole Miss?
It's rivalry. It's must-see TV, mainly thanks to these coaches, and you got the billboards. This is our state, and then Dan Mullen calling Ole Miss that team up north. The coaches make it a fun rivalry, too, because they're always back and forth with each other. They both have winning records on the series. Dan Mullen's 4-2 against the Rebels. However, Hugh Freeze has won 2 of the last 3 since landing in Oxford. So they both have a lot to yap about.
Yeah, let's just find out what you think about that game.
Even though Mississippi has 3 losses, they could play with anybody. They're an excellent team. Mississippi State's coming on. They got a great quarterback. It should be a good game. It's a good matchup, but I'll pick it in the lightning round.
All right, great. In the lightning round, he'll pick that game. By the way, I've wore my semi-Michigan colors here, the maize and the blue, because our college showdown of the week is Ohio State at the Big House in Ann Arbor. Our showdown brought to you by Georgia Lottery. And my first question is Ohio State seems to be going a little bit downward toward the end of the season. They've got some distractions and such, particularly Ezekiel Elliott, their great running back, making a comment there. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm glad you called it a comment because other people were calling it a rant. If that's a rant, then I don't know what a rant is. I'll tell you what he did. He spoke a truth, and his head coach said he spoke a truth. Yep. He deserved more carries, should have had more carries. His apology was where it was supposed to be. I apologize for perhaps putting a distraction on other guys in my locker room. Athlete told me 20 years ago, the one thing you don't want to do, ask him about him, don't ask me about him. Elliott put himself in a position where other guys have to answer about that comment. I thought Urban Meyer did the right thing. I think it's over. Go play football. Go get ready for Michigan.
Michigan's been having trouble the last few games stopping the run, too. So it could be, I don't think they'll have any problem stopping the pass, but the run could be, and that's Ezekiel Elliott. All right, here you go. What do you think, Jeffrey? What's going to happen?
Urban Meyer got out-coached last week, and now that team's kind of down, and they're going to a tough place with a rough, tough coach. I think they're waiting for him. This could be an ambush. give the point and a half with Michigan.
Okay, well, Bob, of course, likes to think about it that way. In a moment, we're going to come back with our hometown team report and good, clean, old-fashioned hate. Stay with us on Football's Play to Win.
The holidays are here, and so is Toyotathon.
Wrap up a great year-end deal on a reliable Toyota, like 0% APR financing on many of our most popular models. And every new Toyota comes with a 2 years or 25,000 miles no-cost maintenance plan. Right now at the Toyotathon sales event, get a low 0% APR for 36 months plus $500 holiday bonus cash on a new 2016 Toyota Corolla. That's 0% APR.
Make the holidays happier at Toyotathon. Uh-oh.
Toyota, let's go places.
Hey Georgia, it's 5 weeks of Fantasy 5. Each week the Georgia Lottery will give away a 2016 Kia Sedona. Just play the all-new Fantasy 5 with Cash Match and enter your tickets for a chance to win. We're giving away one Sedona every week for 5 weeks. Go to galottery.com for complete details. And when you drop by a Kia dealership and test drive a new Sedona, you'll receive a free Merry Money Scratcher where you could win $500,000. Make your holiday fantasies come true.
If you've been injured, if you or a loved one have been a victim, if you've suffered, get the upper hand. Get the strong arm.
Protect your rights and get the lawyer who fights.
It's back. It's Nissan's holiday event, now with special Black Friday offers.
Get up to $1,000 bonus cash on top of existing offers on select models.
Bonus cash, and soon.
Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com.
Hometown Team Report is being brought to you by Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, bringing a higher order of pizza to Atlanta for 40 years.
All right, it is time for Hometown Team Report. This week they both come into the same category because Georgia plays at Georgia Tech. And interestingly enough, there's a little less sizzle on the game because both teams have had disappointing season, even though Georgia's won more games, but both a little disappointing. Let's talk about grades for Georgia, Chris Domino. How do you see Georgia and how they're finishing? They have a chance if they win this game and go to a bowl game to have 10 wins.
Yeah, the 10 doesn't mean much. It's supposed to in college football, but it won't. Here's what I believe. Unto itself, Georgia, give them a C. They did okay work. Now when you consider a first-year Florida head coach is going to the SEC championship game, Tennessee did to you first what they hadn't done to anybody else, and what Alabama did to you, now you're dropping it to at least a C-. Some people will tell you D+. I'll go C- because the possibility of 10 still does exist, but 10's not a good enough number this year.
Okay, the only person that likes a C- is a guy who would have got a D otherwise. I'm learning that from my teaching in college now. Nikki, how about Georgia Tech?
Speaking of people that got a lot of C-.
Me too.
Oops, I was not very good in school. Tough season for Tech. I mean, after winning 11 games last year and the ACC Coastal, obviously expectations were really high for them in September. But now Paul Johnson's looking at his worst season since 2002 when he went 2-10 his first season at Navy. Talk about a fall from grace. But I will give them an E because at least we have that one moment with FSU to savor.
Okay, an E before the F,
E.
so somewhere between D and F. I like that. That's a good one. Now, it's today, by the way, we've gone to 680 The Fan early and often. Chris Domino in the studio with us, and Carlos Medina of 680 talking about to whom is this game more important, Georgia or Georgia Tech?
The game against Georgia and Georgia Tech does have serious relevance for both coaches involved. To start, for Coach Paul Johnson, it would allow the program to be able to ease some of the pain of what has been an otherwise very disappointing season. But there's another factor here. Coach Paul Johnson, with a victory, would be able to claim back-to-back victories over the University of Georgia. That does matter to Georgia Tech alumni and to Georgia Tech fans. For the University of Georgia, there's an entirely different set of circumstances at play here. There are those people that are looking to move on from Coach Mark Richt this season. Losing to Georgia Tech would help add fuel to that fire for that portion of the fan base. For Coach Mark Richt, a win against Georgia Tech would allow Georgia to get closer to that 10-win mark. When you take a look at the remainder of college football, there's not a lot of coaches out there that are being moved on from after going 10-3. When you take a look at both coaches, this is a much bigger goal for the University of Georgia to come away with a victory to at least quiet some of those naysayers out there. A big game for the Bulldogs, a big game for Georgia Tech. Back to you, Bob.
All right, thank you, Carlos Medina. I think you call him Los over at 680 The Fan, and his take on the thing. Now, let's talk about the coaching jobs. You and I were just discussing Rick and how he's handled this and what's going on at Georgia. How do you look at Rick and his situation?
Well, I thought any fourth loss, no matter who it was going to make it easier for somebody over there to stroke a check saying bigger changes, not just this coordinator or that coordinator. Everybody might have to go, and I still think that's in play. It's also easier to cut the check as a Georgia guy if you lose to Georgia Tech for a second year in a row. I think the game is much bigger for Mark Richt. Paul Johnson got his extension. You want to buy him out, you want to pay for him, that's fine. This game for me and Mark Richt, it's how many people will defend him in a room that I think he's been defended before in the past.
All right, let's talk about Paul Johnson. All the words are, even though they've only won 3, that he's good.
Yeah, it blows my mind that the team with the worst record isn't one that's having any sort of coaching turmoil right now. No one is saying this is a must-win game for Paul Johnson, even though he's 2-5 against Georgia. His only wins over Georgia, though, are on the road. So. Yeah. Maybe he'll give something something at home to feel good about. Yeah. I don't know, but his job isn't in jeopardy. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, even though they're having trouble with offense. Let's see how Jeffrey picks this game. Can you wait? Jeffrey was he asleep?
Oh, excuse me.
Wake up.
This the Georgia Tech game?
Yeah.
Oh. Both teams have had a terrible year. Tech has the record to show for it. Georgia won 8 games against mediocre or worse teams. You got to do it. Give the 5 with the Bulldogs. That doesn't mean I got to watch the game, does it?
Yeah, I know. No, you don't have to watch the game. Yes, he will, because he'll have some reason to watch it, and we all know that. All right, that's the pick on that. We'll be back in just a moment. And we have fantasy football plus Falcons-Vikings as we continue with football's play to win.
The Wizard, can you make me real so I can eat real mellow mushroom pizza instead of cartoon pizza?
Stand back. Here we go. Alakazam! Wiggity stickity poof!
I'm still a cartoon.
Then that'd be a no.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness.
Wiggity stickity poof.
Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
It's back. Nissan's holiday event, now with special Black Friday offers.
Right now, lease Sentra, just $139 per month, or get a $199 per month lease on road. Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com.
Be ready to winter with Infiniti. Now through January 4th, lease the Infiniti Q50 for $309 a month. Visit your Atlanta area Infiniti retailer.
Today's Fantasy Report is being brought to you by SD Services. Home comfort or plumbing issues? We can fix that.
Joined now by Adam Brown. It's time for fantasy football. Who's hot and who's cold? First of all, congratulations. You had a great week in fantasy last week.
Thank you, I did. I'm really excited about this week as well. Let's get right started with the quarterbacks because I'm really excited about Carson Palmer this week. Carson Palmer is the hottest quarterback in the NFL. 3 straight 300-yard games and 11 touchdown passes during that time. Let's go to the running backs. I like Todd Gurley a lot this week. Has touchdowns in 5 straight games. You know, touchdowns are very important. And let's go to Javarius Allen. Against Cleveland this week, he had 67 yards rushing and 5 receptions, filling in for Forsett, who broke his arm last week. Let's go to the wide receivers. The wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, touchdowns in 3 straight games. New Orleans is a bad defense. Odell Beckham Jr., 3 straight 100-yard games as well. Love him a lot this week. Washington's defense has given up 9 touchdown receptions the last 5 games. And Larry Fitzgerald, gosh, he's just a model of consistency recently. I like to him have a huge week this week.
Carson Palmer. Yeah. Okay, a lot of injuries in the NFL.
Yeah,
so some of these names you're going to see here, people may not recognize.
Right. Well, let's start with Brock Osweiler, who had 250 yards and 2 touchdowns in his first ever start. I like him again this week. He has great receivers and a surrounding cast. Like him a lot, as well as Spencer Ware. Now, this is not a household name, but if West can't go this week, 96 yards and 2 touchdowns filling in for him. I like him. Stevie Johnson, back-to-back 7-reception games. He's just a model of consistency from Phillip Rivers. Even though San Diego was horrible last week, he still had the 7 receptions. And finally, Tampa Bay's defense.
Oh, I'm shocked.
At the beginning of the season, no one in the world would think that Tampa Bay's defense would be talked about during fantasy relevance. They're inexpensive. They're playing Indianapolis, who's not very good, and they have turnovers and sacks every week. So I like them.
Everybody's talking about Jameis Winston, but you're saying that defense has stepped up too.
The defense is rising up big time. I like them a lot.
All right, this is Adam Brown in Fantasy Football.
Good luck, everyone.
I want to remind you that you can play to win. If you go to our website, which is playingtowin.tv, and get in the Red Pepper Taqueria You Be the Expert Challenge, $100 to first place, $50 to second place. Play it, try it now. We'll be back in a moment with the NFL and the Falcons and Vikings.
Heating system blowing cold air? We can fix that. Turn to the experts at Carrier and SD Services. We've been installing and repairing heating and air systems in Atlanta for 66 years. Save energy and money with a dual fuel system from Estes. Need to get warm? We can fix that.
Introducing the Kia Holidays on Us sales event. Get a Kia Sportage or Sorento with no payments due for 5 months, including your first 2 payments on us, plus 0% financing. Just our way of bringing even more joy to your holiday season. You deserve it, because this year, the holidays are on Kia. With no payments due for 5 months, including your first 2 payments on us, plus 0% financing. Discover more joy. Discover the new Kia. Hurry in today before the holidays are over.
Bad pipes, clogs, broken water heater? We can fix that. ST's Plumbing Services, your man for all seasons since 1949, will make your plumbing problems disappear. From pesky pipes to new water heaters, we can fix that.
It's huge, and it's here now. The Black Friday Blockbuster Sales Event at Mall of Georgia, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Get a 2016 Jeep Cherokee Sport for only $19,414 or $245 a month. Choose a Chrysler 200 for just $19,039 or pay just $239 a month. And take $12,000 off MSRP on a Ram 1500 Express or pay only $339 a month. Find Black Friday pricing now at Mall of Georgia, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. And online anytime at yourdodge.com.
Today's NFL Report is being brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com.
All right, time for the NFL Report. And when we start NFL today, we're talking Minnesota at Atlanta. And Chris Dimino, the Falcons have been slumping a bit, particularly offensively. What's up with their offense?
Yeah, turnovers. They're not good enough to actually make up for the fact that some of these possessions haven't been as long, certainly don't result in touchdowns. And it's one less possession over the course of the game. They had 2 possessions this past weekend where it was 1 play each before they turned it over. They're not good enough. If you don't get to 3.5 touchdowns in this league, you're not guaranteed anything, let alone a win.
Well, I know one thing. Those could be falling if Minnesota's defense, particularly the front part of that defense, is effective, and they may be, Nikki.
The Vikings, Bob, think the Purple People Eaters are back. What was that great group of pass rushers back in the late 60s, 70s? What was their motto? Meet me at the quarterback.
Yeah.
They think that it's come back around again. The front 7 is definitely improved this year. 23 sacks on the season. They're pretty good against the run, too. So from a defensive front, the Vikings fans are pretty excited. It's got Matt Ryan, though, a little bit.
Yeah, let's flip that over and talk about the Falcons' pass rush or lack of one.
Yeah, when you talk about just getting a double-digit sacks this far into the season, you haven't gotten to the quarterback enough. What it also means is it becomes pitch and catch. You know, you never want an NFL quarterback to feel as good as some of these guys do in the 3rd and 4th quarter. When it looks like it's shorts and T-shirts, that means you're not putting enough pressure. That means also you're putting too much pressure on the back end of your defense.
All right, Jeffrey, how do you see this game? You have not been high on the Falcons.
I'm still not high on the Falcons. They teased everybody. They won their first 5 games. I don't think they're going to win another game this year. I can't believe Minnesota's an underdog. Take the Vikings with the 2.5, and it'll be easy.
Well, I know this. There are going to be a lot of viewers. The NFL is dominating television. Look at these top 10 programs in the NFL. On the right, that's viewers in millions. Look at that number. At the top, that's nearly 30 million viewers. The only thing that gets up in there in any way is the GOP debate, Big Bang Theory, and NCIS, and maybe bubbling under is Walking Dead. What do you think about it? Let's go with you first.
Well, I think this has to do with the increased use of social media and also fantasy football, because now people that mainly weren't NFL fans before are personally invested in these players. So it's drawn a whole new audience into these games.
Well, man, it's incredible. It's dominating primetime television.
Yeah, look, we don't know the end. You know, I can you see a movie once, I don't need to see it again. Every week you get something different. It's the greatest reality show on TV. And then when you throw in the other factors, including eyeballs and why they watch, the NFL is truly king right now.
Jeffrey, a big rating for the NFL, the top rating is 17. College football's biggest rating has been a 7, so it's still pro football nationally.
The NFL is unbelievable. You know, when I grew up, the home games were blacked out. Even if they filled up. We were in New York. My brother used to go on the roof to play with the aerial to try to get the Connecticut station.
Yeah. And now everybody can see everything all the time. And they're still filling up the NFL stadiums for the most part. Not sure about Jacksonville, but most other places are. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll have the lightning round.
It's back. Nissan's holiday event, now with special Black Friday offers.
Get up to $1,000 bonus cash on top of existing offers on select models.
Bonus cash, and soon.
Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com.
Why can't I have a slice of yours?
You're a cartoon. You can only have cartoon pizza.
It's not fair.
Look, this pie is 100% real, and you're colored ink. It's physics, man.
Well, can you buy me a beer?
I can buy you a cartoon beer. Are you single?
It's right.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness. Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
'Twas the night before presents, and out on the lawn. No, it wasn't a sleigh, it was Larry and Tom. Young Jane bought a scratcher. It was her time for luck. Oh, the things she will buy with her $1 million. A diamond tiara, a big golden chalice, perhaps her own fashion designer named Alice. But wait, Jane did not buy. We must run away, 'cause you can't ever win if you choose not to play. Go for your chance at $1 million with the new holiday scratchers.
Toyotathon is back with a season full of holiday treats.
Like 0% APR financing on the reliable Camry. Did you know 90% of Camrys sold in the last 10 years are still on the road today? But hurry, our biggest event of the year won't last long. Right now at the Toyotathon sales event, get a low 0% APR for 60 months plus $500 holiday bonus cash on a new 2016 Toyota Camry. That's just 0% APR.
Make the holidays happier at Toyotathon.
Toyota, let's go places.
Today's Player Medical and Injury Report is being brought to you by John Foy & Associates. Personal injury law. Get the strong arm.
All right, time for the injury and player medical report. Let's start, first of all, with the NFL and the injuries that are listed. As you see, Devontae Freeman with the concussion is still kind of iffy. Justin Forsett is out for the season, and Darrelle Revis down at the bottom is day-to-day with a concussion. And now it's time for the player medical report with Dr. A, the creator of InsideInjuries.com.
Week 11 of the NFL, lots of injuries to talk about, but low risk, moderate risk, and high risk, what does that mean? Low risk means 25%, moderate risk is 50%, high risk is greater than 75% of getting an injury. Now, let's take a look at all the players on the chart. So you've got Teddy Bridgewater at a B+, he stays there. He sustained a level 1 concussion, but he was cleared and he remains at low risk. Frank Gore also stays at a B+. He had no structural damage in his injury, and therefore he stays at a B+ at 75% low risk. Zach Ertz, always from time to time you get an A grade that has to drop down to a B, and he's moved from low risk to moderate risk. He has a level 2 concussion. Alfred Morris from an A- to a B, moderate risk. Rib injuries are always bad. Marshawn Lynch, C+ to a C. We've always had him at high risk, and he's had an abdominal injury. Whenever someone hears about abdominal injury, it's pretty bad, so that's why he's down to 55%. Darren McFadden, had him at a C-, always high risk, and again, he's had a groin injury, and therefore it's going to limit him in practice. And finally, Jordan Reed, C- down to a D at very high risk. Now, let's talk about Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman actually has a level 1 concussion from an A to a B+ at 75%. He is, though, likely to play in the next game. And that's the grades for this week. A little bit of an update on Danny Amendola. He has a knee injury, scheduled to have an MRI. It looks like it may not impact him. He's at a B+ grade at low risk, and it looks like he's going to stay there.
Thank you, Dr. A. And now you stay with us, because up next, Jeffrey the Ed Schechter and the lightning round and his picks against the spread.
You're going to deny everything, and if you're lying...
When you're hurt in a car wreck, the insurance company will try anything to deny your claim.
Deny, deny, deny. Whatever it takes, we're not paying a dime.
They'll stop at nothing until they run into the strong arm.
Don't let the insurance company decide what you deserve. Call me now. I'll fight so you don't have to.
Get the upper hand. Get the strong arm. Call attorney John Foy and Associates today.
It's back. It's Nissan's holiday event, now with special Black Friday offers.
Right now, save up to $1,000 bonus cash on top of existing offers on select models. Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com.
All right, it is time for the lightning round, and that means the quick, interesting picks from Jeffrey the Ed Schechter. Speaking of interesting, one of the games you're picking in college football is Cincinnati at East Carolina.
Going under the radar with this one. Cincinnati is terrible. They were losing 20-0. There's 8 minutes to go in the first quarter last week. East Carolina should beat them at home. Good matchup with Ole Miss and Mississippi State, but Ole Miss is very tough, even though the game's at Mississippi State. Give the point with Ole Miss. I think Staff will end any talk about Notre Dame being in the Final Four. Give them the 3.5.
All right, NFL. By the way, speaking of that, Tampa Bay, you like?
That's your 6th playoff team in the NFC. They're playing. This Winston he's a beast. Take Tampa with the points. Giants are better than Washington. They should cover the 2 against Washington. If the games were 58 minutes, the Giants would be 7-3. Seattle's defense is not that great. They even struggled with San Francisco the other day. Take Pittsburgh with the 4.5.
And now the bonus pick.
You remember that Super Bowl pick?
Yeah.
They were 1 of 5. They're now 5 of 5. And they're the 6th team in the AFC. Give the 5 with Kansas City.
All right, you've liked Kansas City off and on all year long. Off and on, you liked them early, and then they started losing some. Chris Domino from 680 The Fans joined us today. Thank you so much. Great job, great job. And before you go, I'm going to use your brain one more time, and that is, what do you think quickly about LSU, Les Miles, and the way that's all handled?
Basically, it's turned into like junior high. The people on the board of directors, if somebody asks you a question, just don't say anything. Don't return a phone call and don't speak, because that's your problem. You have people talking who are supposed to be smarter than that. Let it go until the time comes when you make a final decision.
Boy, it's amazing. Les Miles is just rolling along until a few weeks ago, and then boom. For Jeffrey and Nikki and Chris Domino and the rest of our crew, I'm Bob Neal. Thank you for watching Football's Play to Win.
Play to Win has been brought to you by the Southeastern Nissan dealers,
Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers,
and Estes Services.